Da, 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 da. Hey, we are live on the Amazon, I believe. I believe we are live. Brandon is live. There's Brandon. Yeah. And now I'm live. Hi. Hey. What's going on, people? How's it going? Today, my name is Jason. My name is Jason every day. This is my channel is called Painfully Honest Tech. And you can watch me talk about technology and all other kinds of stuff over at that channel. I put out new videos about 4 or 5 times a week about smartphones, about other technology, about audio gear, about all kinds of different stuff. And today, I thought I would talk generally about stuff that you can use if you want to do the live streaming, whether or not you're somebody who is at home and needs to do the live streaming, uh, or needs to be able to get on the Zoom calls and that kind of thing, or if you're somebody who has free time and wants to live stream games or live stream on YouTube or live stream yourself knitting or whatever you might want to do, thought I'd give you guys some things to think about when making your purchase decisions about that kind of stuff. So if you look down at the carousel below my face, you'll see there's just, it's a rolling, scrolling thing of just a bunch of different stuff. And it's a lot of stuff. I'm going to just go through some of it and kind of explain how and why it's on the list and what you can do with it and that kind of thing. And if you have questions, please, please just go ahead and ask in the chat. I'll type in here, ask me a question. And then you can ask me a question and we can talk. But in the meantime, I'll start off by sharing my screen here and talking about some of these products. There we go. All right, so right now I'm sharing my screen, but that's not what you want to look at. Please hold while I find the right thing. Okay, first I'm going to start off by talking about the microphone that's in front of my face. This is the Rode Procaster, and I have been using this mic for, I don't know, the better part of a year at this point. I can't really remember. I have been using it for a while, and I really, really like it. It's a reasonably priced microphone considering how well it works. I mean, all mics work, but how the overall quality of it. My other broadcast mic is a Shure SM7B, which I think we'll talk about here later, and that microphone is a lot really expensive. so well, it's $400, so at almost half price, you're getting something that is not quite on the level of the Shure SM7B, but is really up there considering, if you're considering a microphone on Amazon or anywhere else that, maybe costs $25 or something, please don't. There's a lot of great stuff out there. A lot of the situation is if you learn how to use it, then it will work well. And that's usually the rub. People don't spend enough time with the gear that they have, and so they don't learn it. Now, one thing you got to learn is that this is a dynamic mic, not a condenser microphone. Now, condenser microphones are really, they're very sensitive. They get every little crackle and everything about your voice, and they're fantastic. Now, dynamics do the same thing, but one thing that I like about using dynamics for something like broadcast or live streaming, something along those lines, I like using dynamic mics because their pickup pattern, they have a cardioid pickup pattern, which is like basically they kind of pick up anything that's around this area. And in doing so, dynamic microphones are less sensitive than condenser microphones, but we'll talk about a couple of condenser microphones, but dynamic microphones are less sensitive than condenser microphones, and therefore they don't pick up as much. They don't pick up as much of the surrounding noise that might be happening in your life. Not everybody has the ability to have a home studio or someplace that's sound treated to do their stuff. So these are much more forgiving microphones for that kind of thing. You won't hear nearly as much echo if you're in an echoey room, that kind of stuff. And the Podcaster is, I would say, for the person who wants to get started with something that is very, very good and they won't grow out of anytime soon, the Rode Procaster is probably my favorite option. It's not the top of the line, it's not the bottom of the line. It is really great. Now, if you want to go with a dynamic microphone and a audio interface that goes into your computer, we're going to talk about all that stuff. But that's basically, I'm using this mic right now and really, really like it. I'm also using, although it looks like it's currently unavailable, I'm also talking into right now the Rode Rodecaster Pro. Their naming conventions are just so confusing. The Rodecaster Pro is an audio interface that is made for people who are doing broadcasts or podcasts, whether that be a live stream or a podcast. It's, I guess, more tailored toward someone who's doing a podcast in its features, but it works great for just about anything that you would want to do. So here we've got the top panel of the Rodecaster, and we've got 4 microphone inputs, as you can see here. So you can have up to 4 people in the room talking on their own individual microphones if you happen to do a broadcast or a podcast that's like that, that has multiple people in one place. You can also bring back the audio from your computer, comes back right here, this little USB symbol. So if you are doing a live stream where other people are in remote locations, then this is where their audio comes back. Now, if you want to take a phone call, there's a couple of different ways that you could take a phone call and put it into your stream. You could either use this thing that looks like an iPhone from several years ago and plug it into the back. I'll explain that. Or you can Bluetooth into your Rodecaster and have the call coming in there. And they all have their individual faders. You can blend everything in. This is not drums. For those of you who be like, why would I need a drum pad for broadcasting? Not drums. These are triggers for different sound effects and little things that you might want to do or say during your podcast, during your broadcast. You can put them on this thing and it will just it just holds clips and uses them. It comes set up with some sound effects like applause and duck quacking and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, the most important thing about it is you can put whatever you want into it. So like for the Painfully Honest Tech podcast, I have the Painfully Honest Tech podcast theme song sort of already in there. And I can adjust the level. And I can turn it off if I want to. I also have a quack. So there's all kinds of little things that you can put in here. Anything that you feel like you might need to use, you're going to use every single time you do a broadcast, it'd be good to sample that and put it into this. The program in the computer is very easy to deal with. The program in the computer is very easy to work with. The Rodecaster Pro is probably the best podcast / broadcast instrument out there, in the sense that it puts a lot of things together for that kind of usage. It took several different pieces of gear in order to do the same thing. So when I was 10 years ago at my former day job, I helped put together a podcast and bought the gear that I would need for the podcast. And I had to buy 5 microphones. I had to buy a mixing board. I had to figure out all this different stuff, headphone amp, all of this different stuff that I needed to get in order to be able to have multiple people in a room talking to one another into microphones. And the Rodecaster Pro puts all that stuff in just on its own. So like I said, here's your theme song. Here's your, your ID information. Here's your sound effects. Here's whatever it is that you want to have. And it's all volume affected by this fader. It has onboard recording. And this is an amazing attribute for one reason. Well, not one reason, but the reason that I don't think a lot of people would consider is, yes, you can put all of this out and record it into your computer. Yeah, it'll all come out and go into your computer, and you can pull up Audacity or anything like that, or a multi-channel DAW like Adobe Audition or anything, or whatever it is that you have that you use, GarageBand on Macs, that kind of thing. You can record everything into there, but you can also hit that big button, this one right here. You can hit that button, which when it's not recording is green. When you hit it, it turns red, and it records on a micro SD card. You can see the micro SD card right here. It records on this micro SD card, and I have a 128 gigabyte micro SD card in there. I think they recommend like 32, but I just happen to have this 128 in here, so I figured I would use it. And one thing that it's going to do is it sounds better all recorded in here. And when you record it in here, it also will record individual channels. So all the things that you have in your live stream or in your podcast will be available for you to pull out and use on individual channels if you set it up that way. And it just gives you you can think of this as your backup, or you can think of what you record in the computer as your backup. When I do live streams for my podcast and other things, I use a service called StreamYard. StreamYard always gives you a version of your broadcast that you can use, and sometimes I've downloaded audio from there. Sometimes I take audio off of this SD card, and the audio quality off the SD card is by far much better than what you can get. So I use StreamYard as a backup. There's also, YouTube also saves a copy, and I can use YouTube as a backup, but I always try and remember to hit that button so that I'm recording right away and I get everything and I get it in high quality. Now, and then you sort of put this thing in computer connection mode, and you can pull the individual files off, and you can just mix away on the computer and upload your files to your podcast place of choice. I use Libsyn, and you're good to go. Just actually put out an episode of the Painfully Honest Tech podcast earlier today, before about an hour before I started to do this live stream. I had dinner in between. So over here, this is pretty self-explanatory. You've got your headphones. Now, the thing that's nice about this, like I was saying before, when I put together a podcast 10 years ago, I had to buy a separate headphone amplifier that I think that one has 6 inputs and outputs, but this has 4 inputs and outputs, each with their individual levels. So everybody can plug their headphones in. Everybody can turn it up as loud as they want. And then and I can't tell you how, especially when you have people who are not very experienced in doing sort of broadcast or recording or anything like that, microphone technique is something that it just doesn't happen overnight. It's nice for them to be able to hear themselves in a way that makes them comfortable, so that they can use the microphone in the way that they want to use it. So having these headphone outputs with individual volume control is incredibly important, and has never really existed like this in a device like the Rodecaster Pro. Here's your main output, where you can plug into external speakers or something like that. You also get a headphone jack down here. This headphone jack is connected to headphone 1. There's also, well, we'll just go around to the back here and take a look. So here are all of your headphone outputs. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 1, 2, 3, 4 correspond, of course, with the knobs on the top of the unit. But you can plug into 1 with a 3.75 inch plug, or you could plug into the very front of the unit with an 1/8 inch plug. And, so that's something that's 1/8 inch is more standard than 3/4 inch these days. And most headphones have an 1/8 inch jack, male adapter on there. So both this one and the front panel jack are connected to headphone out 1. Then, you can just get your different headphones. And I've got headphones in this list that I recommend. There are other headphones that you can get. I meant to throw some less expensive headphones in, but we're going to talk about the Audio-Technica AT-H-M40s. If you went down to the Audio-Technica AT-H-M20s, those are really, really inexpensive, and they're very, very good headphones. So if you have 4 decent headphones in your setup, then it's better than having 4 really inexpensive headphones that are going to break after like 10 uses. It's sometimes important to spend more money at the outset and get gear that's going to last than it is to spend less money at the outset and have to spend that money over and over and over again. So right here, you see the little phone thing. This is an 1/8 inch jack that you can plug your phone into. Of course, nobody's phone has a headphone jack anymore. Except for this one, the LG V60 review coming soon on the Painfully Honest Tech channel. And actually some budget phones are bringing back headphone jacks, so I can't complain as much as I once could about the lack of headphone jacks. But you can use your dongle that used to come with your iPhone or whatever. You can find a way to plug your phone in via an 1/8 inch jack, and it doesn't have to be a phone. It could be a CD player. It could be a record player. You could plug in just about anything that you can get down to a male 1/8 inch adapter plug and plug that in and play that audio back on this fader right here. So you've got 4 microphone inputs here. Here's our 4 microphone inputs that correspond with the 4 things that we saw up there on the top. Here's where your micro SD card lives, just a tiny little slot there. Here's your USB-C. This is a USB-C attached device. You can either do USB-C to USB-C if you have one of the newer MacBooks or something like that, or you can do USB to USB-C to USB-A, and that's just the normal USB plug. Both of them come with the unit, if I recall correctly. So whichever one you need is whichever one you use. This is the output, the left-right stereo output. I actually don't have anything plugged into my left-right stereo output right now. I don't use monitors at this setup. I just use my headphones. So it's a very compact setup. It's just really sort of nice and narrow, and I've got my unit over to the right of me, and I've got everything in front of me. I've got my computer right here, and all in a very svelte package, and it works really well. It works really well. It's a really nice setup, and the Rodecaster was sent to me by Rode, as well as the Procaster, to use for the podcast, and absolutely changed the way that I was able to do that type of work. Automatically, the professionalism and the ability to do things in a professional manner just went up. As soon as I learned how to use this machine and what it needed to do, I was just I was sold. I was hooked. Vru, love your stuff, man. Please recommend a good pair of monitoring mixing headphones that have a flat sound for around $150, $100 to $150. I will say The headphones that I use most often are the Sony MDR 7506s. They are on this little carousel down here that I have products in. In fact, I can scroll over and find them. They're a studio staple. You've usually you've probably seen lots of people wearing these. I love these things. I just recently decided to retire the pair that I have because it's 4 years old and it just, I felt like it was time to move on to something else. I'm using these are Sennheiser HD 59Xs, Jubilee edition from Massdrop, which I think are also available here on Amazon. One thing that this is really good. I don't know that I'd want to mix with these as much as I like to use them for just kind of being able to listen to myself as I'm working. But I will tell you what I would consider mixing for in that price range. And I don't know why I don't have it on my list, but it's the Beyerdynamic DT770s. There's the Pro, there's the Pro, and then there's a consumer edition. So basically, the two. Here's what we're talking about. Let me get this over here for you. So with the Beyerdynamics, you're looking at 250 ohms, 800 or 80 ohms, and then they have a 32 ohm version as well that I don't see that they have in stock right here right now. The difference here is the larger the number of ohms, the less sensitive the headphone itself is. So the more power you need to drive that headphone. So when you hear people talking about headphone amps, this is what they're talking about. 250 ohms is a very quiet headphone without an amp. And to get everything out of it, you need to use that amp. So if I were going to, in the $150 range, mix with headphones, I would go with the DT770 Pro 80s right here, because that should still be able to be driven by just about any audio interface without any kind of external amp. And it'll also be able to be driven by other stuff that you might want to use it with, phones or whatever. And it also will sound great in the recording arena. So these DT770s are really, really good. So that's, and then the 990 is just the open backed version of the 770. So you see here, 990 has these little little slits in it. That's open backed headphone means that there's no solid piece of plastic or anything else that's keeping sound from going in and out of the headphone. So it gives you a more open sound. It's a little bit more true to what the sound really is, but it's not good for recording, because for music, for something like this, it's perfectly fine, because it doesn't matter if a little bit of something bleeds out of my headphones into the microphone. I'm not trying to keep everything separated like I would if I were recording music. So the open versus closed back, I mean, it's your choice based on price right here. I mean, this is a pretty nice little kit right here. For $229, you get a lavalier mic, you get an amp, you get some cleaning stuff, and a cleaning pad. It's not a bad, those are all things that if you want to do live streaming or something like that, having that lavalier mic to get you started might be a good way to go. So I hope that answers your question. There are so many headphones out there. Yeah. So many headphones out there, but the Sonys and these Beyerdynamics are the ones that I would go for in that price range for that usage. So thanks for the question, man. I really appreciate it. Any headphone that I have in this list right now could also do good work on that front. It's just that, right at 150, you have the DT770s, and I would highly recommend them. So let's scroll back here. We talked a lot about the Procaster. and the Rodecaster. They're the two things that I use that are the center of my sort of live streaming world here. There are also other choices. Like here's the Rodecaster, Studio Custom Kit, but the Podcaster is a Procaster, but USB. So you don't need an interface that connects to your computer. You can just plug a USB cable from the microphone into your computer, and that is your interface. You select that as the input device on your computer, and you're ready to go. So basically, the only difference between this white Podcaster and this sort of gray Procaster is USB. And I have not used a Podcaster, but if it is, as they say, the same thing as this, then what you're hearing now is pretty much what you're going to hear when you're using that. The price is usually about the same as well. This is a kit, so I don't know exactly what price they're asking for that. Here's another option for your microphone needs. This is the if I can get it to, okay, there we go. This is the Audio-Technica AT2020 cardioid condenser microphone. Now it's a XLR microphone, which means it has XLR 3-pin connectors on the bottom end, and you need an XLR cable and all that kind of stuff. That stuff is pretty self-explanatory once you start to get into it and you start to try and really put together your shopping list. This is a condenser microphone, and like I said at the top of the show, the condenser microphone is much more sensitive than a dynamic microphone. It picks up a lot more detail, and it's just a lot more sensitive. And the AT2020 is an amazing microphone for $100. I actually got one for my daughter. I got her this setup right here because she does YouTube videos and she records herself. And this AT2020 is better for people who want to do music related stuff than I think people who want to do podcast or broadcasting related stuff. It's not that it doesn't work for that. It certainly does. And I've certainly used condenser microphones in doing this kind of thing, but I prefer the dynamic microphone. But this kit that they have here is really a pretty good one. You get your mic cable, you get your mic arm, you get a set of Audio-Technica headphones. Looks like these are the ATH-M20s. Again, I have the MTH-M40s in my carousel, but they have the M20, the M30, the M40, the M50, and I think the M70 is still a thing. But you can use any of those. I think that for this kind of application, something like the 20, 30s, or 40s are probably better than the M50s or above, because the M50s or above, it's kind of like a more like not casual, but like sort of enjoyment listening device as opposed to a work tool. Not that it would, again, plenty of people use M50s for doing this kind of stuff all the time. But if you're price conscious, you can always go for the M20s, the M30, the M40, and be perfectly happy. And you see here they've got packs of all different shapes and sizes. You've got the AT2005 USB pack, so it has this more standard sort of handheld mic shape. Then you've got the 2020 pack that we're looking at here. Then you've got the USB. The AT2020 comes as an XLR and as a USB microphone. You can get one or the other. And again, if you're just getting started out and you're just going to be going into your computer, it might be easier for you to get a USB microphone like this and just start that way. And then the 2035 is just a slightly different version of the AT2020. For this kind of use, I don't think there's any reason to go AT20 2035 over AT2020. Even if you're just going to use it for your first decent microphone to record with, if you're doing music, the 2020 is fine. And I think they charge a little bit of a premium for the 2035. So at $140, this is a really good deal. You get everything you need to get started, especially if you get this USB pack, which might be the thing that I would recommend, although it's temporarily out of stock. Maybe the USB by itself is not. Yes, you can still get, it says free delivery by June 7th, so it's out a couple of weeks. Amazon is not what it usually is here in this time of pandemic. They are doing yeoman's work. Amazon is like supplied me with groceries and all different kinds of stuff during this time. And but their shipping and their stock is not what it usually is. So some of the stuff is out of stock right now, but will be in stock at some time in the future. So just keep checking back, put it in your cart or put it in a wish list. If it's not here and you know what you want to get, $150 for the USB version is a really, really good deal. So I have here another, in the carousel, I have another Rode Procaster it's the Procaster PSA-1. This is a kit with the Procaster. The PSA-1 is the microphone stand or the microphone arm that a lot of people use. I have one over there on my other workstation right here. I'm using a Blue Compass. The Compass is more metal, and it's not as spidery, and it just gives me more surety. It makes me feel more secure that the mic is not going to move around. And I've pinched my fingers inside that thing before, but it's what I've seen most people use. It's expensive when it's available at about $99, but you do need a microphone stand if you're going to sit, some kind of boom arm. If you're going to sit at your desk and use a microphone, you want to have a boom stand. You ideally want to have it not connected to your desk in any way, or hopefully like your desk is sturdy enough that, shaking the desk won't shake the microphone up and down and that sort of thing. It's not always possible, but this thing will mount it. You can permanently mount it on a desk. You can mount it with this mounting base and a clamp. It's a very nice piece and very, very much worth getting. Now, once again, we must talk. Okay, I mentioned this when we were talking about the Rodecaster. No, the Procaster. Yes, the Procaster. This is the Shure SM7B cardioid dynamic microphone. This thing is, for my money, probably not just one of the best broadcast microphones available, not just one of the best dynamic microphones available. It might be in the top 10 of all microphones available, period, barring like vintage and other crazy stuff, things that people can attain. The Shure SM7B is probably one of the top 10 greatest, in my opinion, and I think other people share that opinion as well. This is a microphone that has been around for a long, long time, and lots of people have used this microphone. If you're a fan of Joe Rogan and you watch the Joe Rogan podcast on YouTube or anything like that, Joe Rogan uses this the Shure SM7Bs for himself and his guests. Michael Jackson recorded the vocals for Thriller on an SM7, which was the precursor to this, but it's basically the same microphone. This thing has been everywhere, and you can record instruments, you can record vocals, you can record broadcast, you can sit in front. It will last forever. And it will never let you down. It's all the things in life that you want. It'll never leave you. It'll never let you down. It'll always be there. And it will work for you as long as everything else is working, or you don't run over it with a truck or something. But even then, it might still work. The SM7B is a fantastic microphone, and this is what I call a forever microphone. This is one of those microphones that you buy, and then, at least in this category of microphones, so if this is the only thing you do, You buy this microphone and you never have to buy anything else, because this is about as good as it gets. It's back. It's not in stock right now, but I'm telling you, if you want something that is the best thing that you can get, then I highly suggest the SM7B, because there's not much else. Yeah, $400 might seem like a lot of money for a microphone, but when you can keep it for 20 years and never have to worry about it working or not working, you get your money's worth. So, last mic that I want to talk about is this, another Rode mic. This is the Rode PodMic. And so I'm guessing that one of the reasons that a lot of this Rode gear is not available right now is Rode is an Australian-based company. They're based in Australia. I think they manufacture in Australia as well. And I'm guessing that shipping things and manufacturing things and getting them here, I'm sure they have relationships with Chinese manufacturers of microphones. Doing all that stuff is probably difficult to do. So that's a big reason why these Rode microphones are not available. They're also some of the best in the business, so that might be as well. But the PodMic, sorry about that. The PodMic is it's a new mic from Rode, and they sent me one when they sent me the rest of my gear, and it's sort of it's sort of unbelievable. It doesn't beat this. It doesn't beat the SM7B, but it beats just about everything else that you could buy for $99 in the dynamic microphone arena. Sure, you can get an SM57, but that's not specifically designed to be a voice mic, a broadcast mic. This thing, it's small, it's heavy. It's a very heavy microphone. It's all metal construction. This thing is you could defend yourself with this if necessary. And it's $99. It's a really good microphone, especially at that price. So I can't recommend the PodMic anymore if you want to keep your costs down and you still want something that's high quality. The PodMic is great. The Procaster is great. So we're kind of going up the line from $99 to $100, $150 to $200 and something dollars to $400 something dollars. That's sort of the ranges that you'll work in when you're looking for a microphone that'll work for you for broadcast related stuff. And the PodMic is just kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a little bit, it's like they found some magic down there in Australia and somehow were able to make that microphone. Now, so I'm going to show you this guy now. If the Rodecaster Pro is the unit that is best made for podcasting or solo broadcasting or something like that, this Go XLR is the gamer version of the Rodecaster Pro. The Go XLR, as you see it right here, is it's got actually, these are motorized faders. I don't know why you would need motorized faders, and I'm sure that affected the cost of the unit, which is kind of a bummer. So I don't know that you would need the motorized faders, but you see here, you can select what you have on different things. So if you're gaming, you've got your system sound coming back. So that's the game and whatever else is coming from that. And then, you've got your chat. So if you're talking on Discord or in some other way with people that's not inside of the game, you can bring that back here and you can control the level of that. And then you've got if you're listening, a lot of people like to listen to music when they're gaming. I don't know why anybody would listen to music while they're gaming, but a lot of people do. And then your microphone right here, it has one microphone input. And then over here, you see that it's got, you've got your mutes, and then you've got sort of the same thing as what we had on the Rodecaster with the little pads. You have three different banks of 4 different pads, and you can put different sounds, different clips, different whatever you want to have going on in there. You can put in these banks of the 3 banks of these 4 pads. You also get a universal mute if you want to mute everything, and you get, I'm guessing this is a beep. So if you want to say a bad word, you can beep yourself. Up here, the Go XLR has all kinds of different voice effects, which to me is not really worth much, and I don't know that I'd want to pay extra for it. But a lot of people like to have fun. If you're gaming and live streaming with games, it bumps up the level of your entertainment value, I guess, is the reason why that exists. So let's look at the back end of it. So you've got your one microphone input. You've got a line input, like I said, for the music that you want to listen to or whatever. You've got a mic input. So like these headphones right here that I use are Sennheiser PC37Xs, and they're a wired headphone, and they have a mic and a headphone terminus, male 1/8-inch terminals at the end of each, so you can plug those in to hear the mic and the phones, and then line out. Now this is something that's interesting, and not a lot of people might know this, so I'm just going to mention it if you happen to be here listening thinking about gaming. A lot of people will stream. They'll have a streaming PC that is what sends all of the material out into the world, and then they'll also have the PC that they game on. So these days you can usually do it with both, but some people use a streaming PC, and if you want to get the sound that you've got going on with the Go XLR out to that PC right here, you've got this 1/8-inch line output that you would then plug into the line input of your motherboard. That's where the sound would come from for your stream, and it'll go out that way. That's a little deep in the weeds, but it works. It's connected to the computer via USB. That's where it gets all its power, and it'll send the audio back and forth there. If you're using a gaming console, like a PlayStation or an Xbox One or something like that, the optical jack here is what you would use to get the sound out of that thing. This thing is, I mean, it's overkill, and I think it's like $600. And I had the Go XLR Mini on my list. It's not in stock, but I had the Go XLR Mini on my list because it's basically that whole left side of the Go XLR, without the voice changing and the pads and stuff. So the Go XLR Mini, I think, is pretty much all that anyone would really ever need, but the Go XLR is the big feature, and then you can get a stand. Actually, a lot of these things don't have enough of the right bank to them, the right angle. So the stand with the adjustable angle might be a good thing. Let's see. Moving on. Oh yes, can't do a stream about live streaming without talking about. Hold on. Without talking about the Blue Yeti. Now, there are a lot of people out there in the world who think poorly of the Blue Yeti. I'm here to dissuade you of that thought. The Blue Yeti is an incredibly good microphone for the price. It is, well, actually, you're never going to get as full featured a microphone as this for this price any other place but the Blue Yeti. It's got multiple polar patterns, which basically means it changes the way the places where the microphone is sensitive and picking up sound. You don't really need that most of the time. Most of the time you want to use cardioid, which some people call the heart-shaped thing. Some people call it the butt-shaped thing. Yeah, Rue, you're right. They do. And they don't get enough credit for the Blue Yeti. A lot of times a lot of times people don't use the mic correctly. They'll do something like point this end at their face. It's what's called a side address microphone. It's a side address microphone, and as such, you talk into the side of it, the side that has the logo on it, and you can get in all kinds of crazy colors. I'm sure that there are different ones available at different. So $129 is usually about where it is. Sometimes you'll see it at $99, but 120, 129, something like that is about what it costs. And again, this is a USB microphone that you can plug directly into your computer and select as the input device and output device for your computer. It has on the back. Let's see if they don't show the back with this particular one. See if they show the back on this. Oh yes, here we go. So here's your USB port, and then here is your headphone output. So you can output to headphones with this right here, and you get to hear what's going into your microphone. You get to hear what's coming out of your computer. It's really a good setup. It's a good setup. Are they the best made microphones in the world? No, I mean, it's a big, heavy metal microphone. It's not of the same quality as say like the Shure SM7B or the Procaster, or even the PodMic. But the PodMic doesn't do what the Blue Yeti can do. So you may hear bad, negative things about the Blue Yeti, but I would say don't listen to those things, because generally the Blue Yeti is a great place to start if you don't know where to start. And if you're just trying to get going with getting some sound into your computer through a microphone. So the Blue Yeti is a great place to start. There's lots of different ways you can use it. So it's a great thing. Now, this next thing I know is not available right now, unfortunately. See all buying options. Let me see. Never pay that much money for an Elgato Camlink. I'm using an Elgato Camlink right now. Here's what it does. It takes the HDMI output of a regular camera, like I'm using a Sony A5100 camera, and it's taking the feed right out of the camera, and then it goes into this HDMI port right here, and then from there it's turned into a USB signal that can be decoded on your computer. All right, as you can see right here, you've got Random Frank P, another tech YouTuber, and he's got a webcam where he looks like he's made out of silly putty, and then he's got a regular camera where he looks like a human being. So that's basically what you get. And it's very, very easy to use, very, very worth getting. However, right now, people are kind of taking advantage of the scarcity of these things and the demand for them, and not charging fair prices. I paid, I think, I don't even remember. I think $150 for mine. So I wouldn't never pay over $300 for one of these, but it is an incredibly good piece of gear that I use literally. I mean, I do these streams 4 or 5 times a week. I do other streams during the week. So I probably stream 8 to 10 times a week, and I use the Camlink in all of those. And it's really a solid piece of gear. Elgato, the company that makes it, they're now owned by Corsair, but they are like, they got out in front of the game streamer accessory market before anybody else did, and brought out some really good products. The Camlink is definitely one of them. The Camlink was they had the Stream Deck and then the Camlink. I use a Stream Deck as well right here on my desk. It has my lights connected to it. Turn them on and off. I can make them brighter. I can make them, I can turn on lights in my studio. I can go back to the moody studio look that I have. The Stream Deck is fantastic. Camlink is fantastic. I actually have one of their green screens back there that I use from time to time. So yeah, if you want to get from your camera to your computer, the Camlink is the best that you can get for the amount of money that you're spending. I mean, right here, none of these actually do what that does, as far as I understand. There are some that do, but they're more expensive than the Camlink. And from what I've heard, I haven't used any of them, but from what I've heard, a little bit more finicky. So the Camlink was a little finicky when I first started using it a couple of years ago, but since that time, it's become much more stable, and I almost never have a problem using it. So, and it's got a Geeknetic Excelente Calidad Precio award. I don't know what that means. I'm sure it's good though. I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it's an accolade well worth it. Here and right here, this is the A5100 that I'm using as my webcam right now. It used for $425. I got mine open box at Best Buy for, I believe, $350. The reason that I use this is because it has this flip up camera. It has this flip up screen, so I can look up here. I can see that I'm in the frame. I don't have and I can see myself. That's always a nice thing. A lot of Sony cameras don't have that feature, but they seem to be figuring it out. So I just had this with the lens that comes with it, but it does have the interchangeable lens option. I just use it with the lens that comes with it, and it's a great camera. It's a great camera. It's not 4K, but you don't really need 4K. This is to me the perfect camera for this kind of work, because it looks professional. It looks good. If you light yourself well, then you're on your way. I'm using an Elgato key light. The same people that make the Elgato Camlink also make the light that I'm using, that's connected to the Stream Deck that they make, that allows me to turn the thing on and off. So it's a whole little ecosystem of things that can work all together and just make it very easy to do live streaming, broadcasting, anything like that. So the A5100 might be the expensive option. Usually the go-to option here is the Logitech C920. This has been the go-to option for a long time. Usually they're like $75, maybe sometimes up to $100. However, in COVID-19 times, once everybody started to need webcams at home, C920s and all of the Logitech cameras went out of stock. And because manufacturing has been affected by this as well, they can't make enough fast enough. So, like, again, we'll look here. Do not ever pay $310 for a Logitech Brio. It costs $200 regularly, and I actually think that $200 is too much for. I have both the C920 and the Logitech Brio. I got the Brio because I thought, 4K, that'd be great. I don't like the picture as much, and when streaming, it's really difficult to get 4K anyway, because of the bandwidth that you're using. So don't pay this money. These things are usually what you would get, but you don't want to. Where to go? There we go. But you don't want to overpay for these things. And some people are taking advantage of the situation and making themselves money in doing so, which is kind of upsetting to me. I have a couple of different smaller options for interfaces if you want to use XLR microphones. This is, you'll see this almost on any desk, any YouTuber, any streamer, anybody. This is the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. Now in its third generation. Just is just the ubiquitous thing. It's got 2 microphone inputs. You can get the Solo, which just has 1 microphone input, and if you're a musician, it has a microphone input and an instrument line input. But yeah, it's a tiny little box, the USB cable that comes out the back, and plug it into your computer. Select that as your input device, and away you go with whatever microphone you have connected to the other end of the cable that goes in here. So that's the basic place to start. Here's a kit. Now again, this is maybe more for the musician, but it would work incredibly well for podcasting, live streaming, all that stuff as well. They have one with the Solo as well. Focusrite has their own branded microphones. They have their own branded headphones, and a cool red mic cable that matches your interface. And the thing about Focusrite, they were the first company really to get the small form factor, low cost audio interface right, in the sense that for $100 or so, you get something that is reliable, that sounds good, that isn't noisy, isn't too difficult to use all the time. It's just one of the best things that you could possibly, one of the best places you could possibly start if you want to start working with audio in an audio interface. It's the Gen 3 is USB-C, and it's really, really great. I started with one of these. Actually, I didn't start with one. I've had a lot of different interfaces for a lot of different desks in a lot of different places for a lot of different reasons over the years. One of them was a Focusrite 2i2. So they're just really, really good. And what else do we want to talk about here real quick for a second? Let's see. Oh, I did want to mention this. This is kind of a secret. Well, maybe not a secret, but so this is the Wisecam smart home camera with night vision, all that kind of stuff. And like I was saying just a few minutes ago, all of the webcams in the world have been sold out. And I guess it's always been possible for the Wisecam to work as a webcam, and it just wasn't something that the manufacturer enabled in the system. But when COVID-19 started and everybody had to start working remotely, they unlocked the ability to use the Wisecam as a 1080p webcam. So for $25, if you need a webcam and you can't find it, don't pay $300 for one. Seriously, don't. If you need a webcam, this Wisecam right here for $25 is an incredibly good deal, and you can get it sent to your house in like 36 hours. It's an incredibly good deal. And when all of this goes back to normal, if it ever goes back to normal or whatever normal might be, you then have a security camera that you can use in your house. But this thing is a great sort of secret deal. That functionality is not something that they're publicizing, but I guess existing Wise camera owners were notified that that's something that you can get. So the Wisecam 1080p indoor smart home wireless camera with night vision, two-way audio, etc., works as a webcam, and you can get it and just go ahead and use it. And with that little secret, I am done with my hour of streaming about live streaming, podcasting, audio recording, that kind of thing. It's a lot of stuff to talk about. It's a lot of stuff to take in. It's really difficult to get your head around it if you're new to all of this stuff. So if you have any questions, if you want to know anything about any of this stuff, feel free. You can subscribe to me here by hitting the little star button. But you can also find me on YouTube at Painfully Honest Tech. You can find me on Twitter at Jason T. Lewis PhD, and ask me questions. I'll give you answers. Drew, thank you, man. You've been here the whole time. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun, and I will talk to you later.